Okay. All right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to an impromptu session of the morning meeting. And, those of you who've been following me and understand, a little bit about what we're passionate about, what we do, what we work, or if anyone's ever taken any of our seminars or webinars, you know that we are a big, big fan of making yourself valuable to your referral partners. It's one of the big concepts that we go over all the time. Don't just say, I'll help you with anything. Be specific. Actually come in and offer them legitimate help, and again, tell them exactly how you're going to do it. So today we have a subject matter expert on this particular topic. We have Sarah Barker, and she is with the Senior Care Sales Solutions Academy, right? Did I get that
Yes,
right?
sir.
Fantastic.
You got it right.
All right. Awesome. And she's going to tell us all about why it's so important to be, why it's so valuable to be of value. Welcome, Sarah. Tell us, please introduce yourself for those that don't know you.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Julio, thank you so much for having me on today. I've been following you for years, and I have mad respect for the work that you do.
Thank you.
And your clients and people in the industry have raving reviews for you. So I feel honored to be here today with you. So as Julio said, my name is Sarah Barker, and my background is a military background, and then in the non-medical home care space since the end of 2011, beginning of 2012. I honestly can't remember, but specifically in private pay client acquisition. And so my expertise is marketing, business development, and sales specific to the senior care industry. And from the very beginning, I found myself just operating from a place of being an overall resource for referral partners and families alike, because I noticed early on that it wasn't just caregiving many times that they needed other resources. And so I am on a mission to redefine the way the senior care industry serves referral partners and families. And the way that we do that is to start with understanding just how crucial your profession is. Your profession as a senior care provider is no less important than the doctor's role, the attorney's role, the financial planner's role, so on and so forth. And so how can we get to the point where you embody that mindset, which allows you to show up and be that holistic resource for your referral partners and families?
I couldn't agree more. It's one of those things that these people have very hard jobs. Like you said, the doctors, the social workers, the nurses, the hospice people. So yeah, being that glue that holds people together makes perfect sense. That if you can be that resource, and if you can, work with all of them to kind of bring that cohesion in, it'll lead. It's definitely a different mindset, and it'll definitely lead to something a lot bigger than you. So one of the things that, at least in my career, that I have found is that, having a passion for what you're doing, having that passion for helping people, it's very important to be successful, especially if you're, trying to do that marketing side of it, because it's got to be bigger than you. All right. So, what have you found to be true when it comes to, new marketers or people that have been here in the industry for a really long time? Like, let's just go with that more, because I found a lot of owners and a lot of long-term marketers, they get to that point where they start getting burnt out. Have you been able to find that, taking these approaches, being valuable, or finding a way to create that cohesion that you've developed over the years, does that help prevent the burnout? Does that help reignite the passion?
It does. Well, I mean, a lot of it starts with self-care, right? And let's be honest. So first of all, for you home care agencies that are considering hiring a marketer, right, or an additional one, my number one piece of advice there is be completely transparent about the fact that it is going to be a grind. So you don't want to hire that
Hmm.
marketer that thinks that it's just going to be about dropping off donuts and coffee and going to happy hours and lunches, right?
Yeah.
You need to be extremely transparent upfront about the level of activity and focus that it
Right.
is going to take to effectively serve, right? So
Hmm.
when I think about how you can stay motivated and passionate in this industry, you need to keep in mind that yes, you have goals to hit, and yes, your job is to drive revenue, which is very important, because if you don't, there will be no business and you
Right.
will not be helping anyone. But if you can keep yourself in that mindset of serving, the money will come. And so,
Right.
it's understanding that how you do small things is how you will do big things. How you treat those small opportunities, right, with your level of graciousness and your level of empathy and willingness to help, is
Hmm.
the same energy that you're going to show up with your big opportunities, right?
Right.
That maybe feel easier. But don't be afraid to take those more difficult cases that maybe take a bit more creativity, because maybe they can only afford a certain number of hours,
Hmm.
but you're really going to have to be educated in some community resources so you can create what I call a mosaic of care. Because if you're willing to do the work on those small opportunities, I promise you
Yep.
that discharge planner or a legal financial referral source, they're going to give you those big opportunities. But you
Yes.
always need to be operating from the mindset of serving.
Right. Right. I can't agree with you more. I mean, that's one of the big things that, like, when I do a lot of the strategic stuff with the owners, um, we, I drill it into their head. Nobody is getting younger or healthier as time goes on. So that 1 or 2 hour case that everyone else is ignoring, and you're strategically bringing it in. And like you said, I love that approach of being that resource and being that all around 360 approach. It will help turn that 1 or 2 hour a week case into that 168-hour a week case as time goes on. It'll create that repeat customer. Hey, I used you for 2 months because I had hip surgery. Now I don't need you, but now down the road, oh wow, all of a sudden, mom's got Alzheimer's or something. Now I need you 24/7. And that payoff is phenomenal. And this,
Mhm.
again, especially with being that resource for the referral partners,
Or
that's
maybe
really
even
good.
that case that
Hmm.
doesn't have the financial picture to turn in to that high
Right.
hour case, but maybe it's that case where, okay, the discharge planner is having difficulty getting this person out. We've got to find the home care
Hmm.
company that's willing to put the focus on a case that they
Right.
know that may not ever grow, but
Hmm.
let's fix the situation today. And then you as a home care person, just because that's your lane doesn't mean that you can't collaborate with
Right.
maybe a placement agent. And then in the meantime, you start looking for placement options together,
Right.
right? Because if you're willing to help that family who can't afford you long term, that
Hmm.
same referral source is going to trust you with those bigger opportunities for your
Right.
company.
With the family that can afford you.
Right.
That's one thing I do, again, really agree with. A lot of private pay agencies, they shy away from partnering up with other agencies. But at the end of the day, if you're a Medicaid agency and I'm a private pay agency, that might be the right solution for a family. And that's it. Let's, like you said, we have to move away as an industry from being dollar centric and move back into being client centric, and that'll bring the dollars.
Hmm.
And the overall strategy just really comes in with that, and especially with um, especially when it comes to the marketing aspect. You know,
Hmm.
for those who don't know, like Sarah said in the beginning, we've known each other for a number of years, and she has a very unique approach to how she teaches the marketing and brings success to a home care agency. And it's part of kind of what I think the universe brought it together, because if you don't understand how to be that overall holistic resource, it really becomes difficult to just for that long-term sustainable growth. Don't make the mistake that a lot of home care agency owners make of going after the quick client, quick and easy. What you want is sustainable growth. You want that 20, 15, 20, 25% growth year over year, even when you've reached that $2, $3, $4 million mark. it's still sustainable as long as you learn how to become that resource, how to become that trusted partner in the community. Get people used to picking up that phone, and that's what this is all about. Am I right?
So my goal, my number one goal with my students, as I said, so
Mm-hmm.
when we look at the industry as a whole, is to redefine the way the senior care industry is serving referral partners and families. But my
Right,
students in particular, my goal for them is to elevate them to advisory level status. And it starts with
right.
them understanding how valuable their role is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And understanding what it is that they're actually selling. They're not just slinging caregiver hours out there, right? Like,
Right.
what is it that they're doing? And then once we can raise them to the level of advisor, then the goal is to develop the referral partner relationships in such a way that they're actually bolting themselves on to the law
Right.
firm, to the financial advisory firm, to the CPA firm, as the
Mm-hmm.
elder care advisory division to those legal financial firms. But
Right.
then look at the healthcare side of things. There's no reason why a good, solid marketer or home care owner couldn't actually bolt themselves on to a skilled nursing facility. It's the same principles, but they're bolting themselves on as I will help all your families. You know, discharge planner, you don't need to spend your time figuring out if they're
Mm-hmm.
financially qualified. Let me handle those. I know you have a
Right.
lot on your plate. Let me make your job easier, right? And so you're
Right.
bolting yourself on at that level.
Exactly. Exactly. It's something I say quite a bit, and I know it aggravates some people that really follow us. Just you know, people will build your relationships, and it's those relationships that will build your business. And that's what it is. It's definitely one of the core principles, and not just from the marketing aspect, but operationally and with your recruitment. You have to be that resource. Not just to your clients, not just to your referral partners. Be that resource to your caregiver. Get people comfortable with talking to you. Get people comfortable with talking to your staff. The more the phone rings, the higher the likelihood of turning something over, of being able to convert. So we are running a little short on time this morning. That's my fault, technical issues. All right, so we're going to definitely have have Sarah back on, you know, but for those of you who are interested at this point as that I picked the right screen. All right.
Yes, I see
Okay.
the senior
Yeah,
care
here we
sales
are.
solutions.
All right. So those of you that are interested in learning more about how it is that you can make yourself of value by being valuable to your referral partners, being that resource in your community, and growing growing your business just holistically, you know, do yourself a favor, sign up, take a look, just apply for the Connect Forward training. You will not regret it. She's got a bunch of sessions coming up in multiple different states. So just go ahead. The links are just in the comments. And if you're watching the replay of this on YouTube, then it'll be in the description below so that you can either just apply to sign up, or if you've already applied and you're committed to go, there's even a way for you to go ahead and register for it. Your next one, at the time of this recording, this is October 3rd. Your next one is going to be where?
October 6th and 7th in San Diego, and I just
Okay.
scoped up the place. So it's being held at a skilled nursing facility in San Diego, La Jolla, to be specific.
Okay.
I can make room for a couple of more seats.
Okay.
And I'm happy to show the agenda if you guys would like to get a taste of
Yeah.
what we go over.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me go ahead and here you go. You go ahead and share your screen whenever you're ready.
Okay. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
is a taste of what we're going to be doing. So day one, right? So we have our icebreaker, and this is where I'm getting a feel for people's whys. And I could give a whole lesson on that right now, but I want to understand, what do you perceive as your biggest weakness and your biggest strength? But mindset, and I trust me on this. You're not coming here and this is not a big pep rally. We do get into tactics You do get working tools that you take back with you, so that way you can actually implement the lessons that we go over here. But it does start with understanding, why is your profession so important, and what is it that you really sell, right? Everybody will say,
Right.
okay, now, yep, we sell caregiving, right? We sell our staff. No, what you're selling is problem solving. What you're selling is a reduction
Right.
in overwhelm and stress and
Mhm.
connection to resources, so on and so forth, right? But then we go through a whole exercise of, how do you create stories? Now, as you can see here too, I bring in subject matter experts. So it's not just me teaching in these academies, I'm bringing in subject matter experts. So for example, here, you'll see that I'm having somebody come in and talk about long-term care insurance. And it's an opportunity for my students to actually talk one-to-one with the type of referral sources that you need to be developing relationships with. And then we go into an exercise on, how do you actually do an appropriate pre-call plan for that type of professional? And then we go into designing open-ended questions for each type of referral source. And then, as you can see, there's a lot. So when I say that this is an academy level training, it is intense, it is immersive. And that's why there
Right.
are 4 follow-on virtual sessions after. So that's just an overview of the agenda for this upcoming one.
That- That's excellent. I mean, that's really a lot of information. Look, just the opportunity to be able to sit there and talk with people who you will be going after for referrals, that's worth every penny of what they're paying, that alone. To be able to pick the brain of the people that you will ultimately be going after. So don't miss out on this opportunity. Get on down there. Click the links. You can always send Sarah a friend request on Facebook or on LinkedIn. All her links will be in the description box below. Reach out, find out more, learn more, and take advantage of this. They said I try to bring you guys as much value as we can, and bringing on experts that can help you along your journey to get to that multi-million-dollar agency. I think that million-dollar sales is way past. I think most businesses or most serious agency owners can achieve a lot more than they believe. All right. So before we go, Sarah, what's one piece of advice that you would say to any home care agency owner? If I'm a million-dollar agency, I'm stuck. I can't get past that $80,000 mark. I just need to be able to improve my influx of clients. What's the one piece of advice besides taking your class that you would give? Yeah.
You have to pause. So, I think that, well, the number one mistake usually when a home care company is wanting to grow is they think, well, I'm just going to hire this marketer, and they don't do enough due diligence and vetting to make sure
Hmm.
that it's going to be the right fit. And then they
Right.
do hire them, and they're not providing training for them. They'll either hand them an
Hmm.
account list or nothing at all and say, okay, go get clients. All right.
Right.
And so even if you do have a marketer and you want to, and you're not scaling, you need to quiet that anxiety that's telling you, well, just work harder, just go out more, see more accounts. No, you have to pause, and you need to analyze what the current activity has been,
Hmm.
where the current referrals are coming from. And I'm not talking about just the volume of referrals. You need to actually analyze the revenue associated with each type of referral account.
Right.
Pause, collect the data, but then get organized and start operating from an actual framework, right?
Right.
That says, in order to be successful, my marketer has to hit 8 to 10 accounts per day. When I say accounts, that's not just 8 to 10 people, right? Because oftentimes
Right.
there's
It's a
multiple people
building.
in an
Yeah.
account, right? But
Hmm.
then understanding, when I say get organized, your marketer schedule should be built out at least 2 weeks in advance. There should be
Yep.
the in-services that are scheduled on a cyclical status, right? And
Hmm.
so you have to get organized, you have to be consistent. But from what I have realized, many home care companies don't even know what an appropriate framework is. And if they have an
Right.
idea of one, there is a serious lack of accountability, either for themselves or if they're marketers. So
Right.
you need to have a system.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And this is something that, if you guys go through, Sarah and I will actually be teaching a seminar together in the Indianapolis metropolitan area early December, where she'll give you all these amazing tactics and everything else, and I'll be going over with you what what is a marketer, how to hire one, and how to maintain that high level of accountability. Because that on that note, I'm going to piggyback on your statement a little bit here. A lot of home care agency owners, the reason they do that, they just say, here you go, and hope for the best, is because many of them don't understand what the actual job of a marketer is. And if you don't have to know all the details, but you do have to know how to manage your marketing systems. Okay, that's a big difference in the two. Going out there and marketing is a phenomenal skill set that you need. And I'm a big believer that every home care owner should know how to do that. But if marketing is not your thing, then you need to you need to know how to manage the process. And
Mhm.
there's details in those links in the description on how to sign up for all of these upcoming classes. Okay, so all right, so that was great stuff, Sarah. We definitely have to have you back on. Hopefully next time we won't run into the same technical issues as this time, and we'll be able to get started on time and give you guys more information. Just if you're watching the replay on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, because it really, one, it helps out the channel, and number two, it allows us to provide for you a lot of value. Because the more people are interested in the content that we're putting out, the better the feedback we have, and we'll know. Also, we want to, just as a final note, here we are. All right, we want to share that pretty soon. Sarah will be a part of this. On occasion, we're going to be starting up the Owner's Corner. That is going to be a senior care mastermind for owners only, owners and high-level managers. This is not for the people, the faint of heart. This is not for people that are just dabbling around. This is to help you drive your business to that next level and really help you break those plateaus. Each mastermind session will involve training, and it will involve a hot seat session, and we will actively work to help you work through your problems as a group. Stay tuned for details on that. They'll be coming soon. And again, I cannot stress enough that if you are not signing up for Sarah's upcoming classes, you're really doing your agency a disservice. So thank you, Sarah, once again for coming on, and we will love to have you back soon.
Thank you so much, Julie. I really appreciate the opportunity.
All right, so let's